Here's an often overlooked home defense preparation item. Because when we talk about home defense, most people are saying, hey, I've got a gun, I've got my alarm system, I've got my cameras, I've got my motion sensor lights, which is awesome, perfect, great. You should absolutely have all that. But most people only think of their bubble, their exact immediate area of their home. And I do a lot of home security audits. People fly me in. If you have no idea who I am, I'm former CIA officer Jason Hanson, New York Times bestselling author of Spy Secrets that can save your life. And when they fly me into their house, we're doing a complete and full security audit. And one of the things you have to do is you have to consider what is going out outside of your home, outside of your property. Meaning, do you live right next to a crack house where you've got threats there, you got people coming and going who are bad, maybe there's a stray bullet you have to worry about? Obviously, if that is, you probably don't want to live there. And I'll tell you a story about when I was a knucklehead and lived in Baltimore City, Maryland, here in a moment. Or what about your city? Do you live in a city that is very overrun by crime, where the government has decided not to prosecute anybody, so there's homeless, there's drugs, there's all kind of stuff going around you? Well, if your home is here and you're surrounded by this city, that is something you absolutely need to think about. You probably want to put more home defense measures in place. So I'll quickly tell you my Baltimore City story. Not really a story, but I lived in Baltimore City, Maryland for several years. The reason I was there is my wife is an attorney, and she got her, I'll say attorney degree. She went to law school and got her degree from the University of Baltimore. So we lived in inner city Baltimore City, Maryland. A dumpy place, a disgusting place, a dirty place. I would not recommend it. And we lived in one of the row houses, and I was very, very aware, but I'd recently just left the CIA when my wife and I met and got married. So I was still, basically I'm going to say I was still very egotistical, still a knucklehead, still thought I was Rambo, still thought I was invincible. Now I still think that, I just don't tell people out loud. Kidding, kind of. Anyways, so now I'm obviously wiser. I'm not as much as a knucklehead, but we lived in one of the row houses. We lived in the inner city. A few doors down was a drug dealer who I became friends with, because keep your enemies closer. But I was very aware of, like, this is the worst place in the world. If I had kids, I would never in a million years live here. I was in Baltimore City. There were drug dealers nearby. The whole city is a very violent place. It's like one of the top 10 plate murder capitals in the United States pretty much every single year. So again, I felt like I was invincible at the time. I was like, yeah, we're gonna be fine here. You're in law school. Let's live here a few days or a few years. I'll protect you. We're fine. But again, not a good idea. I should not have done that. I would never do that now with 7 kids. So when you are considering your home defense plan, think bigger. And what I mean, think more outside of your house. Who's your next door neighbor to the left? Who's your next door neighbor to the right? What is a mile from your house? Any bad places? What type of city do you live in? Do you live in Portland? Or do you live in a good small town in Utah like I do, which is much more safe, which is much more of a free state, and people actually crack down on the law, and our sheriffs enforce that type of stuff and don't let people just run rampant and steal whatever they want from a store without prosecuting them. So I'm gonna go because I'm starting to ramble on, but that's just what I want you to think. And when you are doing your own home defense plan, think outside your house of any other threats you need to prepare for. All right, that's it. Please take home defense seriously, because even if you live in a super safe place like I do, a home invasion occurs every 15 seconds in America. And if heaven forbid it happens to you or me, I want you to be prepared. All right, God bless you, and subscribe to this channel for more home defense tips.